Please could you sketch out a genealogy of contemporary American left liberalism and cultural Marxism? I'm thinking particularly of how Puritanism in New England surprisingly and rapidly degenerated into Unitarianism and liberal Protestantism in the 18th and 19th centuries, which in turn mutated in today's secular humanists and woke cultural revolutionaries.
Woof! That's a tall order, but I'll give it my best shot. You know, as though it were a baseball game. There is no joy in Mudville. Mighty Coulombe has struck out.
Wow.
But we'll try. Anyway, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. The near approach of my departure is pushing me into senility. All right, but we'll do this. We'll pull ourselves together.
Yeah.
All right. Basically, you've got to understand that the ideological active ingredient, as it were, of the United States are not the Catholics that settled in Louisiana, Florida, New Mexico, and California and Texas, nor the Episcopalians who settled in Maryland and Virginia and Georgia and the Carolinas. No. Thanks to the victory in the American Civil War and various other things, the ideological active ingredient of our nation were the Pilgrim Fathers and the founding Puritans and all those guys. And they were the far left wing of the Reformation. They abolished any idea of the church other than a local gathering of people, no hierarchy. They got rid of the liturgical year. In other words, they cut the heart out of Christianity.
Got it.
And they were double predestinationists, which meant that they felt that there was nothing you could do to save your soul. And this all twisted and warped them in different ways. The human reaction on the part of their descendants was the self-same Unitarianism, which got rid of Calvinism with a vengeance, as well as any other vestige of Christianity over a long period of time. Although to this day there are Unitarians who consider themselves Christian without believing Christ is God. So, but that has taken place in just about every country where there are Calvinists. It's almost as though Calvinism, amongst certain sorts of people, burns out and becomes Unitarianism. I don't know why, but it does. Well, the Unitarian movement itself went a step further into transcendentalism.
Yeah.
And the transcendentalists, if I were to describe them in one sentence, I would say that they were the beginning of spiritual but not religious.
Definitely. That's dead on.
Yeah. And these movements waxed and waned according to various historic developments. The Great Awakenings, all three of them. The Civil War, our bloodiest war to date. And the Industrial Revolution. I mean, all of these things were affected by different factors. But at any rate, they ended up with transcendentalism becoming the bedrock of American thought.
Yeah.
And that's why all of us who go to school, presuming we do, are entertained with Ralph Waldo Emerson and Henry David Thoreau. And they are, to a greater or lesser degree, held up as our idols, and whatever religious background we may have has to play second fiddle to that.
Yeah.
Again, we don't do that consciously. But for most Catholic Americans, and Americans of other sorts, they consider, on some level, they consider that kind of transcendentalism superior to their ancestral faith, for which they feel they have to make allowances, rather than the other way around. Not, there must be something wrong with Emerson and Thoreau because they don't fit Catholic views. Instead, we think, well, there must be something a bit wrong with Catholicism because it doesn't fit the worldview of Emerson and Thoreau. That was the basis of it, and everything came from there. I mean, on a parallel level, you had the development of American public education, which started with the man who changed our spelling, Noah Webster, and then through Horace Mann and John Dewey, transmogrified into the garbage we have today, which goes to support the changes to the nation that I suggested.
Now, Webster, he is the father of public education, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And one of the interesting things that you pick up from reading Puritan's Empire is that Webster said one of the goals of public education isn't necessarily, the main goal is cultural, I forgot what the word is, but basically it's to turn you into a good American.
Yeah.
And to push the values on you and everything, rather than actual education.
Correct. And the idea is, of course, that the only good American is a liberal.
Are you talking back then? Wait, what are you talking about?
Well,
or
but the same attitude.
Now?
The notion now is the same thing. I mean, basically, if you believe that one religion is better than another, you're un-American. If you believe that every ethnicity and people have differing, one hopes, complementary abilities and weaknesses, you're a racist.
Yeah.
If you believe in gender roles, you're a sexist, and quite possibly a cis hetero patriarch.
Definitely.
But all of these rather grotesque developments come from that same root.
Yeah, absolutely. That's I noticed that about it's very important to think about our roots and how we approach, and the roots of our approach to religion, because it occurred to me that we always view religious people in the same mindset. There's this zealousness that you see portrayed in films and everywhere else, where it's like you're not comfortable with this person.
No, because there's something wrong with him.
There's something wrong with him.
There's a problem.
Yeah.
He's probably, killed his mother or something.
Right. Yeah, there's some story that has pushed him into religion or something, because he couldn't have gotten it there himself. And but that is from where we come from with the Transcendentalists and the Puritans.
It's as American as apple pie.
And it's a lie that's very important for us to combat, to show that you can have fun.
Yeah.
That is that's such an important lie, that because Americans and as young people, they love fun.
Yes. And if you could convince, one way to half win over young people is to convince them that your opponents are old fuddy-duddies, killjoys who want to take away your good time. They want to take away your right to smoke and drink.
Yeah, that reminds me of one of my favorite Solange Hertz quotes, where she says reading gets such a bad name because of a bunch of squares.
Yeah. There's a lot of truth to that. But then you stop and you look at Lord of the Rings and Tolkien, and you have to say, well.
Yeah.
So, anyway, what else we got?